Any fan of The Sopranos can tell you that spirituality, religion, death, and the afterlife are all themes and subjects that the writers and the creator of the show, David Chase, love to explore. Ghosts, psychics, visions, divine intervention, and punishment are shown to be very real things that are possible in the Sopranos universe. And today, I want to talk about one of the more popular supernatural fan theories of The Sopranos, the theory that Meadow is actually Tony's guardian angel. Now, I don't actually think that Meadow is an angel incarnate.
Meadow was always sharper, but I remember the same thing with her. It's like watching an angel fall.
What I mean is, there are several moments throughout the show where you can point out that Meadow protects Tony whether intentional or not. Now, to help give this theory some legs, I think it's important to establish the relationship that Tony and Meadow share. Meadow is in essence Tony's golden child. She was his first baby, and Tony feels a protective parental bond for his daughter that lasts for the entire run of the show. It's pointed out very early on in the series that Meadow chooses Tony as the parent that she feels safe confiding in.
You're being honest with me, right?
Pretty soon here, you're gonna start hurting my feelings.
Many fans feel that Tony and Meadow actually think very much alike and are very manipulative in getting what they want.
I never saw one bit of violence growing up.
What about your dad's road rage? And didn't you tell me you had a boyfriend once who was killed, shot to death or something?
First of all, he was killed by drug dealers. African Americans, if that makes you feel any better.
The first piece of evidence to support this theory that comes directly from the show is in the Seven Souls intro of the 6th season. Meadow is shown on screen for the 3rd soul, the guardian angel soul. No doubt an intentional piece done by the writers of the show.
Number 3 is Cool, the guardian angel. He, she, or it is third man out.
Each character shown as part of the Seven Souls intro has an aspect or action of their character that is foreshadowed by the soul that they correspond with. For example, number 4 is Ba, the heart, often treacherous, so we see Ray Curto, one of the prominent FBI informants in Tony's crew, as well as the heart, foreshadowing Ray's death due to his heart problems. The next piece I want to talk about comes very early on in the series and is a favorite episode among fans. Season 1, Episode 5, College. Many of you probably know what I'm referring to in this episode, but the basis is that Tony and Meadow are on a trip together touring potential colleges in Maine. And while on this trip, Tony spots what could be a mobster who flipped and assumed a new identity in life. This mobster is Febby Petrulio, an old DeMeo crime soldier who knew Tony's dad as well as Tony's dear friend Jackie Aprile. Once Tony realizes who he is, he decides to devote time and energy on this trip to whack Febby himself. Febby grows paranoid and decides to follow Tony himself to try to figure out some more information and try to get the jump on Tony instead. Febby eventually does catch Tony in a compromised position and has him dead to rights, but the moment is interrupted by an elderly couple next door, and Tony slips away. It can be argued that the real reason Febby did not shoot Tony here is that the elderly couple next door would be witnesses and Febby doesn't want any, not the reason that Febby gives Tony and that he didn't want to kill Tony in front of his own daughter.
And you broke it. I could have killed you last night outside the motel. Your daughter was drunk, remember? I was there in the parking lot. I had a gun, but I didn't do it. Because of her, I told myself, it's just a coincidence. It's taking this little girl to college.
You know, one thing about us wise guys, the hustle never ends. You shot me at that motel, your life would have been flushed on a piece of dude.
Please, Tony, I'm begging.
Now, Febby would say whatever he can to try to get Tony from stopping to kill him, but I actually believe there's a shred of truth in what he's saying. There's actually a bit of duality in the two scenes when the roles are reversed and Tony actually has Febby in a compromised position. He sees that Febby's out in the hot tub with his wife, and actually his daughter comes into the scene and tries to usher him back into the house.
Sorry, Daddy.
Yeah.
In both scenes, the protection that the daughters provide is that both hitmen respectively have a sense of hesitation once they see the daughters. Now in both scenes, Tony and Febby are driven away by external forces, the elderly couple and the dog barking. However, it's clearly a point to be made by the writers that the daughters and families are important in this scene. One of my personal favorite moments in which Meadow can be observed as being a guardian angel for Tony is when she decides to take the lamp from the basement to her college dorm room. This is a moment where Meadow's protection over her father is inadvertent, as they are unaware that the FBI has bugged the lamp, and when Meadow takes it with her, It essentially nullifies all effectiveness of the mic and the lamp. In doing so, Meadow protects her father from potentially incriminating himself with the many private conversations that he likes to have in his basement. Next moment I want to talk about comes in Season 6, Episode 3, Mayhem. And I'm sure a lot of you already know, this is one of the episodes where Tony is in his Kevin Finnerty coma. When the events of the episode reach their climax and Tony is faced with the life or death scenario, Tony arrives at the Finnerty family reunion at a house that makes multiple appearances throughout the series. Tony survives his ordeal and is called back into the world of the living by a voice, Meadow's voice. But what's interesting is that when Tony hears Meadow's voice, he doesn't hear her regular voice. He hears the voice of Meadow when she was a little girl.
You need to let go.
Now you can say I'm reaching for this, but I believe there's a lot of similarities between this scene and the scene I showed you earlier where Phoebe's daughter was calling out to him from a very similar position amongst the trees. I don't know, there's just something ominous about the way Phoebe's daughter looks up there. And the idea of faceless ghosts or apparitions or anything is very prevalent among the series itself. And The Sopranos is a series that always tries to make things feel cyclical. The end is the beginning, life and death. At the beginning of the series, Tony goes out of his way to try to help a family of ducks in his pool. And by the 6th season, he's actually giving orders to have asbestos dumped in a nearby pond where families of ducks are trying to live. Another moment I felt deserved to be talked about comes in the pilot episode, where Tony decides to show Meadow the old church. This scene actually doesn't get mentioned that much by Sopranos fans and theorists, but I actually think it's pretty important. And the pilot episode as well as the finale are the only 2 episodes of the series that are actually directed by the creator, David Chase. The moment itself isn't very religious, but it takes place in a religious place, and it has a message about taking pride in one's heritage and identity.
Years since I've been here.
Dad, please talk to her, please. God, this is so stupid. Why are we sitting here?
You know, your mother thinks you have the capacity to be a top student. And I agree.
What do you guys want, perfection? What are you looking at?
Your great-grandfather and his brother Frank. They built this place.
Big whoop.
Stone and marble workers. They came over here from Italy, and they built this place.
Yeah, right. 2 guys.
No, they were 2 guys on a crew of, laborers. They didn't design it, but they knew how to build it. Go out now and find me 2 guys that can put decent grata on your bathtub.
I feel like the purpose of this scene is to illustrate the point that Tony feels that the mark that he's going to leave on this world, most importantly, is the daughter he leaves behind, Meadow. She is the best shot that Tony has in making a positive impact on the world that he leaves behind. And that's why, in their final scene together, Tony has a look of disappointment on his face when Meadow explains the reason why she wants to become a lawyer to defend crooks like him against the federal government.
Meadow was always sharper, but I remember the same thing with her. It's like watching an angel. It's like watching an angel.
Speaking of last scene, this is a good segue into the last point in which Meadow is demonstrated as guardian angel, the last scene of the show, the scene at the diner Holston's. Now there's tons of symbolism and callbacks and foreshadowing within the scene. The ending scene itself has been analyzed by many Sopranos fans over the years. Now of course there's the members only jacket guy who's going to go into the bathroom to get the gun to kill Tony. He's going to come at him from his 3 o'clock, and while he's passing over to go into the bathroom, we see the house that's actually from the scene before, from Tony's dream while he was in the coma. Now the idea is that if Meadow makes it there in time, she's able to sit in the booth the same side as Tony and is able to protect him from his would-be assailant, being that in the mob there's a strict code that you're not supposed to kill family. Now unfortunately Meadow does not make it in time, being as that she is unable to parallel park in an efficient manner. Now this is actually foreshadowed many times throughout the series, as Meadow's driving is known to be a problem for many characters. Now this ending is bittersweet, as Tony's guardian angel Meadow is unable to make it in time to save her father. But at least Tony gets to have a sweet final moment with his family where AJ tells him that one of the lessons that he imparted on him is to always remember the good times. Those are the ones that really matter. And that's one of the major themes of the whole entire show. And finally, Tony looks up one final time before he's gone forever. So that's all I have for this video. If you guys enjoyed it, make sure to let me know in the comments. If you liked it, leave a like on the video, and if you want to see more stuff like this, subscribe to my channel. See ya.